When first diagnosed, most women are told that they just have fibroids, but almost no one tells you what kind of fibroids you have and why that even matters. And here's the thing, girl, the type of fibroids you have could change everything. The type of symptoms you experience, your doctor's treatment plan, and even the ways that you should be supporting yourself on a natural fibroid healing journey. Right now, you might be wondering, why are my cramps so much worse than most women? Or why am I so bloated when my doctor says my fibroids are small? Or maybe you're dealing with back pain, bladder pressure, or leg aches, and no one has explained why and how this is connected to your fibroids. In this video, I'm breaking it all down for you, girl. I'll walk you through the simple chart that doctors use called the FIGO system. This is used to classify fibroids based on where they are growing in your body. Some fibroids grow inside the uterus, while others grow on top of the uterus, and some even are embedded in the wall of your uterine muscle. And yes, each one can cause completely different symptoms. What I'm about to share could explain why you're bleeding so heavily, why your cramps knock you out for days, or even why you're experiencing pains that seem completely unrelated to your uterus. Once you understand this, your entire fibroid journey will make so much more sense. So grab a cup of tea and get comfortable, because trust me, you'll want to hear this all the way through. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Glampreezy. If you are new here, hey girl, hey. I am a digital wellness creator and I make videos about natural fibroid healing and women's hormone health. I myself have suffered with fibroids twice in my lifetime. First time in 2019, I had a laparoscopic myomectomy to remove 8 fibroids from my uterus. But little did I know that fibroids can and will grow back if you don't address the root cause of why they're growing in the first place. So just like that, almost 2 years later, my fibroids grew back. Except the second time, I chose to take charge of my healing journey and I was able to naturally shrink and manage my fibroids without surgery. So now I advocate for women online that have fibroids, bringing to you information that your doctor generally won't tell you about healing your body and your hormones. If you have not already, please consider subscribing to the family. And yes, my dress does have a bikini on it today. And to my loyal and loving YouTube family, thank you so much for your support and tuning in for another video. Let me grab my notes. Come on in. Let's get into this. Let's be real for a second. Knowing more information about your fibroids, and especially the type of fibroids that you have, isn't just some fancy medical detail. It's actually really important for you to know and understanding what you're going through. It can help explain why you're bleeding so heavily, or why you're experiencing severe pelvic pain or cramps. Or maybe you're not bleeding or have painful periods at all, but perhaps you feel pressure on your bladder or in your lower back. And here's the kicker. If you're on a natural fibroid journey, there are certain things that you should be focusing on more than others to help support and manage your symptoms. So let's get into this. So doctors use something called the FIGO system. It sounds complicated, but it stands for the International Federation of Gynecology and Obstetrics. I'm going to break it down into 3 simple groups. And don't worry, you don't need to remember the numbers. What's important here is understanding where the fibroids grow and the symptoms that are most commonly related to that positioning. Stay with me now, because this is going to explain so much about what you are experiencing. So based on FIGO guidelines and expert reviews, these are the classifications. The first category is going to be submucosal. Now this represents FIGO categories 0 through 2. So submucosal fibroids are fibroids that are submucous fibroids, ones that are under the mucus layer or the inside wall of your uterus. FIGO category 0 represents submucosal fibroids that are on a stalk hanging into the cavity of your uterus. FIGO category number 1 are submucosal fibroids that are mostly in the cavity, partly in the wall. Does that make sense? So it's partly in the uterine cavity and partly in your uterine wall. And FIGO category number 2 are submucosal fibroids that are mostly growing in the wall of your uterus, but pushing into the cavity of your uterus, as in the diagrams that I'm showing. Common symptoms for submucosal fibroids are as follows. Heavy or prolonged periods, passing clots, anemia, fatigue, fertility struggles, high miscarriage risk, and of course, cramping and painful periods. If you feel like your period is running your life, this category is often to blame. As I said, these are the heavy bleeders, the ones that drain your iron and your energy. So here are some ways to dial in your natural healing efforts to support your symptom management. You definitely want to focus on iron-rich foods if you are experiencing heavy periods, leafy greens, grass-fed meats, lentils even, and pairing iron with vitamin C for better absorption. It's also very important that you work with your doctor to make sure that your iron levels are not dropping too low, okay? This is very important. If you feel super fatigued more than normal, you feel weak, shortness of breath, things of that nature, make sure you get your iron checked because you may be anemic and not know. Or if you are anemic, that's something to really take into consideration because when you are anemic, your blood is not getting the oxygen that it needs. You may also benefit from taking shepherd's purse herb. That has been a savior on my journey, and incorporating hormone supporting vitamins like My Happy Flow. I've spoken about that a lot on this channel. And yarrow. That's also a great herb to incorporate when you are experiencing heavy bleeding. I will put all these resources in the description box below. So if you are interested in them, make sure you check that description box. And finally, rest and nourishment during your cycle. This is really, really important. Do not push through exhaustion. Listen to your body, okay? As one of my friends in this wellness space says, rest is the precursor to action, girl. So please honor your rest and get that nourishment in. It's really, really important. Being anemic is not cute, okay? The second type of fibroids that we're going to talk about are intramural fibroids. This represents FIGO categories 3 and 4. The intramural fibroids are fibroids that are growing inside the uterine wall, like the muscle, the lining inside of it. They're encased inside of there, okay? FIGO category 3 are intramural fibroids that are growing fully in the wall, but touching the cavity. They are making the uterine wall bulge into the cavity, if that makes sense. FIGO category 4. These are intramural fibroids that are fully in the wall with no cavity contact at all. So they're just in the wall of the uterus. Symptoms for intramural fibroids are generally pelvic and lower back pain, pressure or heaviness in the pelvis, bloating or that full feeling, and sometimes they can cause heavier bleeding depending on the size. And here's more tea on intramural fibroids. According to experts, intramural fibroids are the most common type of fibroids. They typically stay local to the pelvis, but when they get big, they can start pressing outward, sometimes irritating the back and the hips, and they're notorious for causing bad cramps and pain. So some natural tips to help support and manage your symptoms. Focus on anti-inflammatory foods, berries, turmeric, ginger, leafy greens, and omega-3s. I almost forgot to put that one on there. It may also be great to focus on magnesium-rich foods or even magnesium supplementation to help you manage your cramping. And castor oil packs may help to support circulation and ease your discomfort. And lastly, gentle movement. Think low impact, like walking or yoga. All right, so we're down to the third type of fibroid. This is the subserosal fibroid. This category represents FIGO classification 5 through 7. Subserosal fibroids are fibroids that grow on the outer wall of your uterus. FIGO classification number 5 is a subserosal fibroid that is mostly in the wall, bulging outward. FIGO classification number 6 is a subserosal fibroid growing mostly outside, barely in the wall of the uterus. So this is almost all on the outside of your uterus. FIGO classification number 7. It's a subserosal fibroid that is growing on a stalk on the outside of your uterus. Common symptoms for subserosal fibroids: bloating or very visible belly bulge. Now, depending on the size of your fibroids and the count of your fibroids, you can have a bulging belly anyway. Say, for example, you only have subserosal fibroids. They are typically going to cause a lot of bulging as opposed to having only intramural fibroids, if that makes sense. These are responsible for a lot of back and hip pain. Ooh, and this one is going to ring a bell for lots of you girls. Bladder pressure and frequent urination. Nerve pressure. I hear a lot of you girls talking about having sciatica issues or shooting pains down your legs. This is a classic symptom for the subserosal fibroid. Bowel pressure or constipation. And again, like I said, depending on the size and weight of your fibroids, any of these categories could cause this, but subserosal fibroids in particular tend to cause this. Now, here's the interesting thing about subserosal fibroids. They don't typically cause heavy periods, and they may not pose as much of a hindrance for implantation and pregnancy. But that does not mean that your pregnancy would be risk-free, okay? I just want to make that clear. All in all, subserosal fibroids are the sneaky ones because they don't often cause the common period issues that we see with the other types of fibroids. The thing to remember with subserosal fibroids is that these outer types of fibroids can tend to press on blood vessels and nerves if they get too big. So if you've been wondering why your period is fine, but your back aches and you feel shooting pains down your limbs, it may be due to the location of your fibroids. Now, some natural support tips for subserosal fibroids: focusing on supporting digestion with fiber and hydration. Super important. This will help to reduce any issues with your bowels. Now, if your fibroids are big enough to really impede or put a lot of pressure on your bowels, you may have issues here. So it's very important that you help to assist things get going, if you know what I mean. Strengthening your core and your pelvic floor may also help you out with these types of fibroids. Think Pilates and core breath work, and make sure it's gentle and low impact. Consider body work like monthly massages. If you have a lot of back and hip pain, this can be very helpful in managing your symptoms. And supporting your posture. This sounds crazy, but if you sit when you work as much as I do, something as simple as a specialized cushion or more lumbar support will help with your daily discomfort. Trust me on that one. So you know I love y'all, so I had to drop in a bonus category for you. FIGO category number 8. This one is quite rare, but it does happen in some cases. Covers fibroids that grow in unusual places, like the cervix or on ligaments. It is far less common, but as I said, it does happen, and I wanted to show you that. Symptoms definitely vary with this one, but some of the symptoms that you might experience, especially if they're located on the cervix, is a lot of pain during intercourse. Of course, pelvic discomfort and extreme pressure depending on where they are located. See, once you match the fibroid type to the symptoms that you're experiencing, it's like turning on the lights and having an aha moment, girl. Suddenly, all those frustrating symptoms seem to make so much more sense. So let's do a quick recap. Submucosal fibroids are FIGO classification 0 through 2. They mostly cause heavy bleeding and less likely to cause things like leg pain or shooting pains in your limbs. Intramural fibroids. This is FIGO classification 3 and 4. These tend to cause a lot of pressure and a lot of cramps. And finally, subserosal fibroids. FIGO classification 5 through 7. These are the biggest cause of leg, back, and nerve pain, and generally do not upset the cycle and the period symptoms, like heavy bleeding or cramps. So what to do next? If you're wondering, how do I even know what type of fibroid I have? If you have already had imaging, it's very important that you request a paper copy or that they email or fax you a copy of those diagnostics, okay? It's really important that you get a physical copy of your scans, whether that have been an ultrasound or an MRI so that you can read it and you can see what they have been classified as. If you have that and the notes are terrible or either you feel a little unsure, I would highly recommend requesting an MRI for your fibroids. And on the report, make sure to look for words like submucosal, subserosal, intramural. And of course, you can ask your doctor to explain the results. So if you've been wondering why you're having leg or hip pain or why your back is killing you, but your period is fine, it may very well be the location of your fibroids and not just the size. Knowing your fibroid type can help you to understand your symptoms better. Ask better and more targeted questions at your doctor's appointment about your specific fibroid situation. And it will help you to incorporate more targeted support within your natural healing journey. So those one-size-fits-all herbs and detoxes may not always be the best way to go for your specific type of fibroids. And some women are unlucky enough to experience all three types of fibroids, just like I did. If this video was helpful for you and helped you to understand more about your fibroids, please drop me a comment. Let me know down below if you've ever heard of the FIGO system and tell me what type of fibroids you are experiencing. If you're watching but you have not subscribed, I would highly recommend for you to join the family by pressing that subscribe button as I bring you natural fibroid healing videos every single week. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and share it with someone that you think it might be helpful for. And before you guys get out of here, I want to remind you that I have launched my new Substack account. Please go over to my new Substack account. I will have it linked down below in the first pinned comment. Recipes, remedies, more articles and information on fibroids and womb healing. We are going to be going deep into fibroid and womb wellness over there on many different topics over there in a more intimate space. I will be able to give you guys so much more information over there because it is far less censored as this platform. So please make sure to go over and visit me at Glampreezy on Substack and join the family. On your way out, make sure to check out another video. I made this video just for you so that you can learn more about natural fibroid healing and hormonal health, girl. Go ahead. I love you guys and I cannot wait to see you in another video.